Welcome back to Everything Music Theory. I'm Dave. Thanks for joining me. Today we're going to be taking a look at one of the greatest songs ever written. We're looking at Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen. Let's get started. Alright, what you're expecting to get out of this video is a harmonic analysis, which means I'm going to look at the keys and the chords used to create the song, and we are going to tell you exactly what's going on harmonically, where things go from one place to the next and how they get there, etc., etc. I will not be demonstrating the song. This is not a tutorial. If you want to learn the song, I'm sure there's someone else out there who can help you with that. I'm strictly looking at the theory for this. That is my specialty, and that is what I love to talk about. So let's get on with it. We are in the key of B flat major. The first chord used is the B flat chord, okay? It's actually a B flat 6, all right? After that, we throw in a C7, followed by an F7, and then back to the B flat. So what's going on in this little section is we're in the home key of B flat major. We're playing the one chord, B flat. Then we're playing a C7. Now, there is no C7 in the key of B flat. A 7 chord, which is just any letter with a 7 next to it, is considered a dominant chord. And there's only one dominant chord per key, and that is always the 5 chord. So when you look at C7 and you ask yourself, how could this be the 5 chord of B flat when it's literally one note higher? It's because it's not. This is essentially acting as a secondary dominant chord, which means it's still a dominant chord, but it's not from the key you're in, it's from a different key. And it's used to add color and movement to your chord progressions. So we're going from that C7 to the F7, which is also a dominant chord, and this happens to be the 5 chord of B flat. So the C7 is the 5 of 5, and then the F7 resolves itself to B flat. We're then going to segue to a G minor 7, which is the 6th chord in B flat major, followed by a B flat 7, which is kind of deceptive because it's a B flat chord, but it's not functioning as the 1 chord. It's a dominant chord, and it's functioning as the 5 chord in E flat, which happens to be the very next chord. So you can hear that resolution when you play the B7 to the E flat. Get that nice 5-to-1 resolution. Now, why would they go from a 6 chord in the key of B flat abruptly to a secondary dominant chord that's going to resolve to E flat, the B flat 7 resolving to the E flat. All right, so that B flat 7, which comes out of nowhere, resolves itself to the E flat. Now the E flat kind of has two jobs here. The E flat is in fact the 4 chord in the key of B flat major, which is our home key as of right now, but it's also acting as a 1 chord resolution for the B flat 7. And in addition to that, even though it's not a dominant chord per se, it is major, our next chord is going to be an A flat chord, and E flat is a 5th away from A flat. So you could almost look at that E flat as being like the 5 of A flat. And then we're going right back to the E flat chord. So we kind of have, we're like leaving B flat with the G minor 7's the last vestige of B flat. Then the B flat 7 is the 5. It's a secondary dominant, which is resolving to the 4 chord. But then the 4 chord is kind of doubling, and the 4 chord meaning the E flat is kind of doubling as like a 5 in A flat, because there is no A flat in B flat major. And then we're right back to the E flat, which kind of holds strong as the 4 chord. So a lot going on right there. All right, the next chord we have is a C minor 7, which is the 2 chord in B flat, followed by the F7, which is the 5. And so that's a 2 to 5, which is a very popular jazz style chord progression. Right after that, we're abruptly met with this really interesting, this is the little high, little low part. Right? That's a B major to a B flat major to an A major to a B flat major. So a couple things going on here. Number one, this is a non-diatonic section, meaning that these chords are not from the same key. But there's two things that make this possible to the ear. The first thing being that they're all major chords. Major B flat, major A. They're all majors, so that's good. That tonality sticks true to your ear. And it's also going chromatically from B to B flat to A, and then back to B flat. So chromaticism and the tonality being major throughout that entire section is what makes that possible. That continues after the second round of that B flat brings us back to an E flat, which again, you could see that E flat as being the 4 chord in the home key of B flat major, and then we're met with a B flat, so it's like a 4-1. All right, we're about to make things really interesting. We're going to bring in a fully diminished 7th chord. Now, diminished 7th chords and diminished chords in general tend to be kind of ugly on their own when they're just kind of hanging out by themselves. But in the context of beautifully crafted chord progressions, they work really well. They're often like a bridge chord. And what I mean by that is they create a bridge between two completely different places. So the chords on either side of this diminished 7th chord, we have a B flat with a D in the bass. Now the D is the 3rd of the B flat chord, so it's all legal. And then we have the D flat diminished 7 in root position, so we have that D flat in the bass. And then we have an F7 with a C in the bass. All right, so I don't know if you guys noticed what happened there, but the bass notes went from D to D flat to C. And that is a chromatic descending bass line. And the bass notes come from the chords used, but like I said, that diminished chord does not fit diatonically into this key. So it's coming from outside, and it's making its magic happen by being that glue that helps create that descending bass line, but also offers up some very harmonically rich sounds as well. So very cool, very jazz thing to do for a rock band, but what we all know, Queen is definitely higher echelons in the rock world as far as creativity and understanding of music theory. So that is a very cool section. Again, that B flat is the 1, the F7's the 5, and they throw in that chord there for the diminished 7. That brings us back to B flat, okay? 1 chord. All right, we're going to continue with Bohemian Rhapsody here. We're starting where the lyrics go, "Mama just killed a man." All right, now we're still in B flat major for this. We're starting off coming from B flat. We have a G minor chord, which is the 6th chord in B flat. And then we have a C minor chord, which is the 2 chord in B flat. And then we have an F7, which is the 5 chord in B flat. And then we're back to B flat. Okay, so nothing too crazy there. The next part of this section gets really awesome though. This is where the chords change like every beat or two. Very fast changes. And if you analyze the chords, not only do they sound good to the ear without analysis, obviously, great tune, but to analyze these chords makes it that much more awe-inspiring. You have a C minor chord, and then they do a C minor chord with a B in the bass, which creates a chromatic descending bass line. Then we're moving to the C minor chord again with a B flat in the bass, which then becomes like an inverted C minor 7 chord. And then the 4th chord in this progression, we're going to play an A minor 7 flat 5. Now what's really cool about the A minor 7 flat 5 is if you remove the A from the A minor 7 flat 5, you end up with C minor. So the chord we've been playing this entire time, C minor over B, C minor over B flat, and then the A minor 7 flat 5. That A minor 7 flat 5 has been kind of there the whole time, minus the root note. So they went from a C minor to an A minor 7 flat 5 by changing the bass note and by changing the bass note and doing a descending chromatic bass line from C to B flat to A, changing that A in the left hand while you still remain on C minor in the right, gives you the A minor 7 flat 5. That is so scientifically awesome, I just can't even explain it. Is anybody else excited about this stuff? The chord that comes in after that is an A flat major 7. And what's really freaking amazing about this is, again, the C minor that we started with, right? The C minor remains the entire time, and just the A goes to A flat, making it an A flat major 7. Unbelievable. That is such a cool stretch. It's such a jazz thing to do. Come on. The next chord after that is an E flat with a G in the bass, so we're continuing with that descending bass line from C chromatically all the way down to G, and now we're doing the E flat in the right hand, and then we're just going to bring in the root position E flat to kind of cement it back home, right? And of course that would be the 4 chord in B flat. The next chord is B flat again, but this time we have the 3rd in the bass, the 3rd being D, and then we're back to C minor, and then we're going to do something similar, but instead of going from C minor, we're going to move up a perfect 4th. Now for the next section where it goes "Didn't Mean to Make You Cry," we're going to kind of do something similar to what we just did with the C minor, but now we're going to do it from F minor. So we're going from playing off of the 2 chord in B flat major to now playing off the natural, to now playing off the minor 5 chord, because the 5 chord in B flat major is F major. But we're going to play F minor, so we're going to pull a little parallel motion. So this goes F minor with an F in the bass, and then we're going to do F minor with an E, F minor with an E flat, which is kind of like an F minor 7 inverted, and then we're going to pull that minor 7 flat 5 out again just by changing the bass note to D. Alright, and then we have that same, just the same transition. Mathematically the same formula, just up a perfect 4th and done from F minor instead. After that D, I'm sorry, let me do that again. After that D minor 7 flat 5, we're right back to B flat. Then we're going to throw in a B flat 7. So we go from B flat being the 1 to now B flat being the 5, but it's not the 5 of itself, it's the 5 of E flat, which is the next chord. Carry on, carry on. You can't sing, but you get the idea. And then we're gonna do, so that was an E flat, carry on, and we got the B flat with the D in the bass, so we go from E flat to D in the bass. Now we're gonna go to a C minor, so now we're in C in the bass, and then we're gonna do this really abrupt shift to A flat minor. Whoop. And that kind of comes out of left field, but it works so well. And they could have done A flat major there, but again, parallel movements from major to minor and minor to major, they're absolutely great. I think that's going to cover it for this section. You guys get the idea. There's no point in going through every inch of this thing. It would take 45 minutes. It does more of the same going forward, but that is just such a cool section, right? So let's see what comes next. All right, on to the next section. This is the I see a little silhouette of, it's that part, right? This presents a key change, first major key change, marked key change of the song. So we're going from B flat major to A major. And if you're looking at the piano, you have B flat here, and you go down a half step and you have A. So we have a chromatic descent by a half step, hence the word chromatic. And we're down just a half step for the key change, which is not too much of a drastic jump. It is, however, drastic in terms of closely related notes, because in B flat you have B flat, E flat, and then in A you have C sharp, F sharp, G sharp. So in fact, it is kind of a very jarring shift, but they make it work. Now the chords for this part, it goes D, A, E flat diminished 7. They're calling it D sharp, same thing, right? Spelling, who cares? D, A, D sharp diminished, back to A. So this is the I see a silhouette, that part. So essentially we're dealing with the 1 chord A, the 4 chord D, and then by doing the diminished chord, what's really awesome about that diminished chord is it's kind of, I don't want to call it a tritone substitution officially, but it does kind of have that kind of flavor. So don't think of it as that specifically. But what's really cool about that note is that the D sharp and the A are in fact a tritone apart. And then if you were to compare the notes of those two chords, A has A, C sharp, and E, and then this diminished chord inverted would have A, C, E flat. So we're keeping with the A, and we're taking the C sharp down to C and the E down to E flat. So this is a perfectly used diminished chord where chromaticism is king, and it makes for such a smooth transition, slightly jarring, but that's what makes it beautiful. I think that's all I'm going to cover for this, guys. I know that's not the end of the song, but if you've made it this far, do me a personal favor, okay? Let me know in the comments below right now that you made it this far. And if you want more, let me know in the comments, okay? If I get more than 3 people that want more of this song, because I'm only halfway through the song here. If you want more, leave it in the comments, and I'll do more. But most people don't make it to the end. So if you made it this far, thank you for making the most of my time and yours. And I will see you guys next time. All right? Thanks for watching.